Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 16th, 2025 meeting of the Milton Select Board. Please rise if you are able and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next item is public comment. By rule, we allow individuals 3 minutes each for public speak, and there's a total of 20 minutes allocated for this segment. So we ask that everyone who speaks, I will give you a note at when you have 30 seconds left. I see we have one person here. So Mr. Walker, if you'd like to join us.
The man who never stops.
Good evening. Leroy Walker, 452 Truman Parkway, and a town meeting member of Precinct 10. I'm actually here in that capacity on behalf of my Precinct 10 constituents and Precinct 1 colleagues as well. I've lived on Truman Parkway for the entire 43 years that I've lived in Milton. Blue Hills Parkway and Truman Parkway have a unique relationship that's unlike any other in Milton, as Richard knows, and some of you might know, but it's maintained by DCR. So that means that for the things that normally us as taxpayers would call public works, we have to try to get the same services from DCR. Specifically, to get a street light changed, we need to call DCR. To get a tree planted on Truman Parkway, we need to call DCR. To get trash that's been strewn along the road taken care of, we have to call DCR. That has presented some real problems in terms of both timeline that it takes to get these things resolved, and sometimes the bureaucracy wins, and we are never able to get those things resolved. If you drive down Truman Parkway at night, as you know, Truman Parkway runs from Deposit Valley Parkway through Boston to Brush Hill Road and then toward Mattapan Square. If you drive down from Boston, you'll notice that the street lights that are there are the large LED type. As soon as you pass the entering Milton sign on Truman Parkway, the street lights are a mix of incandescent, yes, they still have some incandescent lights, and the smaller LED lights. This is mystifying to me, but what I'm asking for is for your help, Public Works help, and our representatives, Richard and Mr. Driscoll, in creating a single point of contact somewhere in DCR that those of us who are residents of these two roads and who use these roads all the time can contact in order to get these services that we're paying both the state and the town for. Senator Tilmody, when he was in, was very helpful, but I can tell you that it took a lot of work on his part, and still DCR was unwilling to designate a single individual that we could call. So I'm asking for your help on behalf of myself and the residents who use those roads every day and are entitled to street lights that work and are bright, a beautiful road, and the ability to get services quickly if we need them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else online or in person that would like to make a comment? Okay. Seeing.
Sorry, I was
Mr.
going
Wells?
to say, why don't we move up 17? Since Mr. Walker was the only one in public comment, why don't we move up
I'm fine with that.
public comment response?
So we'll make item 17, which is public comment response, our next item, which will allow Mr. Walker to get back to his abode. Would you like to kick us off, Mr. Walls?
So I'm not immune to this comment, and I DCR, for as much as they were a big tenant in this, a big stakeholder in this town, he's 100% correct. His an analogy just on traffic enforcement and all. I thank Representative Consalvo from High Park, who has much more seniority than I do, that was able to secure an earmark just for state police traffic enforcement. So we deal with the same issue, the Holt's Pond area. So you bring a good point. So I think Dan Lynch is the regional contact there. I think maybe we bring him in and we'll lay this out. And you're right, it's not as simple as, here when trash barrel bolt, we make a call and it's picked up that day. Here, there's bureaucracy involved that makes it so tough. And just from that I've seen already, just in my short time in the new job, is that the leadership changes a lot. And so you look on the Rolodex and it's a different name than what it was last week. So you bring a very good point up. Half LED and half non-LED is just not acceptable. So I think we can maybe start with a letter drafted by you guys to the delegation. I've talked to Representative Bryn Fuka-Reed Oakley a little bit because she has part of that district. It's
Mostly. Right.
she has one. She has one.
You have 10.
I have 10. Yeah, you bring up a very, very good, and I think about it myself, and now you made me really think about when I walked in tonight. And as soon as you started to talk, I knew exactly what you were referring to. So I think we can do better, and at least from my in-town role, I'll get on that right away. I mean, the town administrator should have a contact.
They usually have a
They do.
person.
That's a great, so
Yeah.
legislatively, Dan Lynch is every state agency for legislators has a legislative director, not to his.
Do they also manage the constituent questions?
No,
Okay.
no. So that, I just answered you, you don't even have to raise your head, so you know where I'm at, so that's, and they don't have like on the 28 project where MassDOT comes in and, puts up a site where residents can go to. DCR just doesn't function like that. And that makes it so much more frustrating for a resident who lives on the roads that they own and maintain. So I think this is something collectively we can do a little bit better on. And I know someone's watching this right now who's already writing notes extensively. So that's all. If anyone, that was just my 2 cents on it. Anybody?
Anyone else, Mr.
I
Driscoll?
can see you.
Yeah, but on the parkway down by Home Inc., I'm there every week with that job. They had tree planting the last 3 or 4 summers. And they're pretty actively watering them and stuff. I don't disagree with you that you're in a no man's land, but the roadways were always plowed and sanded. I noticed that a lot on those roads. They were pretty much, but
We plow
I
those
don't
roads
disagree with you,
at
Mr.
MassDOT.
Walker. I understand your frustration.
Sure.
So someone in town who's very effective at getting things on Blue Hills Parkway is Deborah Felton. I don't know if she also has a contact she can share, but I've
Mr.
been
Walker,
very impressed.
It's out of our usual practice.
Yeah.
I know.
If you want to say a few more words.
Just one more point. So with the tree planting, yes, they did plant trees on Truman Parkway recently. We were surprised to find out. And a number of the trees died. So I asked the person who was planting the trees, well, so this was great that you did this, but these are dead. They didn't make it through the initial stage. Who should I talk to? She said, well, you can call me. This is the person running the crew that's planting the trees, but I don't really know who you should talk to.
That's a labor crew, though.
I asked the state police. They're looking at me like, why are you talking to us? So you're right, John, they planted the trees, but the point is that there's no one person we can talk to or no group that we can talk to get things resolved.
No, I understand that. I understand your frustration.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem at all. So I think Mr. Wells has alluded to maybe putting a letter together, and I think that's a good idea. Maybe, and I don't know that we need a vote on this, but Mr. Milano, maybe you could draft a letter to our delegation and to DCR.
I think I can follow up with the Lynch that Wells alluded to and start the dialogue there. And
Okay.
If that is something, maybe take that next step.
He's responsive. But he's brand new in the role, so he's kind of feeling
And they
his
have a
way
new
around.
commissioner, too.
Oh, yeah, but
Yeah.
that's, we're going to leave that subject for another night.
Okay.
Okay. That sounds like a
Has
good.
not been to this district yet.
That sounds like a good response. Okay, so now we are going to enter into a recess for a meeting of the Governor Stoughton trustees, and I would like to call to order a meeting of the Governor Stoughton trustees. Our first item of business is requests for funding from the Governor Stoughton Trust, from the Milton Residence Fund, and the Milton Community Food Pantry. And Mr. Milano, do you want to contextualize?
Prior to both Pat and Norman speaking, I did provide for the members an update on the Governor Stoughton. I did provide to members an update on the trust fund balance of the Governor Stoughton Trust. There's approximately $400,000 above what is considered the endowment, about $5.75 million, of which 5.35 is considered part of the endowment. So that gives this trust, as of today, about $400,000 with which to respond to requests for funding. And we do have, and we provided the members written requests from both the Milton Residence Fund and the Milton Community Food Pantry. Noreen Dolan from the Residence Fund is online, and Ms. Brawley from the Community Food Pantry is here to speak to those requests.
Great. Ms. Brawley, would you like to join us here at the... And do we want to promote Ms. Dolan while we're...
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Just to let folks know at home, we do get a very long and detailed list of the way that funding has been distributed over the last, I guess, since January 1st of this year. It's a long list of people in need, and we're very grateful for your work and your work too, Ms. Dolan, in helping us with meet these needs through the Governor Stoughton Trust. Would you like to make a quick statement to begin?
Well, I'd just like to thank the Select Board as Governor Stoughton trustees, fund trustees, for your constant support of our mission. We are, as I said in the letter, we are totally volunteers and totally funded by donations from the community, from clubs, organizations, and largely from the Governor Stoughton Fund. And we take our mission very seriously. We serve the poor of Milton, which was the intention of the Governor Stoughton Fund when it was set up. We are very happy that the Select Board understands and that trustees of the Governor Stoughton Fund understand that without us, many people in Milton would not be able to survive.
Thank you very much. Ms. Dolan, would you like to say anything before we open for questions?
Me on mute. I could give a little overview in terms of the gift from the Governor Stoughton Trust to the Milton Residence Fund for distribution was $130,000 this year, and then we also had a carryover of $43,000 from the previous year. To date, we've been able to distribute almost all of that. We have about $9,000 left. And in total, the Milton Residence Fund has been able to distribute $319,000. That's because of a gift from the Copeland Family Foundation, from the Governor Stoughton Trust, from the community, from the trust at First Parish. So we've been able to pull a lot of things together. We've had probably 90 additional requests than we did at this time last year. And we've been distributing about 35,000 in October and 41,000 in November, where traditionally in previous years it's been 15,000 a month. So the demands in the last couple months with the uncertainty around SNAP benefits and all sorts of other things, and the cold winter coming and the delay in LIHEAP fuel assistance has caused a lot of stress on Milton families. So like Pat, I'm extremely grateful, as is all the trustees of the Milton Residence Fund, for the support of the select board. We would absolutely not be able to support the residents of Milton the way we do without the support of the Governor Stoughton Trust. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I'll turn over to members for questions or comments.
Go ahead, Mr. Chair. Anyone else first? Anyone?
Mr. Driscoll, did you? No. Mr. Wells?
So, getting to both of you, you know, this is, at least for me personally, this is a significant issue for me that I champion. You know, most people have no idea. Noreen, you know, we spoke last weekend in a group where, you know, people don't realize they're familiar with Milton Food Pantry by name, not by the operation or who uses it. They're familiar with Milton Residence Fund by name. They see you come here publicly, but they don't know, most people don't know what it's like behind the scene. You know, Noreen, you made mention, and I heard, I think Beth Ann Solomon from QCAP is Quincy Community Action Plan, and they're helping 50 families a week.
Yeah.
The comments from New England Food Bank personnel on just how big a demand they are placed with. And Noreen, you made a comment about just how many young mothers you see on a weekly basis in these food pantries and scrubs that are working,
Yes.
that have young kids that are just trying to make ends meet. And Jim Brett, the founder director of the Zone, the Mary and Brett Food Pantry in Dorchester, they're doing 300 families every other week. How much that extra bag of groceries or that milk or a dozen eggs or getting that utility bill paid or a rent bill, how much that takes off the pressure of what their day-to-day life is like. Most people in this state don't even realize that UMass Amherst, the most prestigious of all our state schools, now has a food pantry on campus for the students. Because there are students, many families who, while they can afford the tuition to get their child into college, they can't afford the meal plan. And imagine living on Fruit Loops 3 times a week for 16 weeks of a semester. It's really, really difficult. So to me, you know how I feel about this. I'm like, we'll spend every nickel that we can spend. At least I will advocate for every nickel that we can to make sure that you aren't having sleepless nights. One, because I've said this to you before, both of you. I can only imagine the pressure. I remember back in COVID when you had no milk and eggs. When suddenly in a given week we couldn't, you couldn't, and we really couldn't. You couldn't get refrigeration. People don't understand what that is like. And I was at a meeting at Fuller this morning, and and I know I'm being lengthy here, and I commented to the many residents in the room. It's a beautiful meeting room there. It's a great quality of life. But imagine if you didn't have that. And so, at least for me, Mr. Chair, I'm willing to support whatever request that we can afford that both of these entities make on their annual appeal, and thank them for what they do for the silent faces that most people in this town are completely unaware of. Sorry.
No, that's quite all right, Mr. Wells. Other comments?
Well, just thank you. Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, there's a lot of need out there. It's really people don't realize the families coming to the food pantry, the families coming to the Milton Residence Fund are pretty much everyone is working as hard as they possibly can, and there's still families with their lights shut off, with no heat right now, you know, eviction notices, needing food, you know, on the additional, you know, to the food pantry. So there is need, and I see the community coming out to support in addition to the select board. So it's fantastic to feel the support and feel like the food pantry and the Milton Residents Fund is appreciated by the town.
Thank you. I feel like I would be remiss in my job as chair of the select board if I didn't say a word about the state of the economy and why we're in this position. Why do we have 90 additional requests this year? The Trump administration and decisions that are being made at the federal level to cut benefits, to attack the working class people and the middle and lower class people of this country, who are the vast majority of the population, to benefit the few wealthy individuals, to give tax breaks and tax cuts to billionaires, while we as a small part-time town government have to scrape and save money to help, which we will do gladly because these folks are our neighbors and we care about them and we want them to be able to feed their children. We want them to be able to heat their houses. There are bigger forces at work here that I fear we are, excuse me, Mr. Wells, I'm talking.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that you're joining us in person for the first time in a while. The fact that we're dealing with this crisis is not an accident. It is a specifically designed policy to starve the working class people of this country to benefit the wealthy. And while I'm happy today to help provide that support, I feel like we must use every instance that we can to decry the inhumane, undemocratic administration that exists in Washington, D.C., and that is attacking the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and our town directly. So again, thank you. I'm sorry for the vitriol there, but it just really boils my blood when I see what's happening to people in this country, what's happening to people that I know and care about on a daily basis. Mr. Milano, do we have a set amount for, I know that we have two motions in front of us, and I know that we have these letters, but can you remind me so that we get the numbers right?
Sure. So Milton Residents Fund request is for $150,000 for the next year, and then the Community Food Pantry had listed out 3 separate requests. I totaled it as $86,500.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion.
I just want to make sure, does that sound right to our guests? Yes. And I see Noreen nodding. Okay, great. Mr. Wells.
So I have a motion to fund the grant request of the Milton Community Food Pantry in the amount of $90,000 in the amount, and the grant, a second to move a grant request from the Milton Residents Fund in the amount of $155,000.
I second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this?
I wish it was more.
Yes, we all do. We have a remote member, so this is going to be a roll call vote. Mr. Daly, you will be first.
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll.
Yes,
Ms. Haggerty.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
thank you.
Thank you both very
Thank
much
you
for
so
all the
much.
work that you do. We really deeply
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hugely appreciated. Bye.
Okay, we'll move along now to item 3, discussion approval of meeting minutes for the Governor Stoughton trustees. We have very helpfully here who can make which motions and who can vote on which motions. I don't know, Ms. Haggerty, if you're interested in making motions for these, because I think you were present for all of them.
So I have to do them separately, right?
I believe
Yeah.
you have to do,
I think she can do them all
actually,
together. She
can we
wants
do
to
them all except for the November 18th, I think? And then since Mr. Wells was present and did not abstain on the September 9th, is that right?
I did abstain. I don't see a September 9th.
I have the meeting minutes for the September 9th, but for the select board members, the ones that you didn't attend were the 18th.
Oh, I got it. Okay, so.
Okay. So let's do September 9th and then the 18th, 24th, and the 7th, and then the November 18th. Does that work? Is it easier for me to make the motion?
I'm going to help. I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for September 9, 2025. And August 18, 2025? No.
No, you
Just
didn't. You-
September 9.
September
Just
9.
September 9, 2025.
I second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Again, this is a roll call vote. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Abstain.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. The second motion, I'll go ahead and make that a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 18th, September 24th, and October 7th, all 2025.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Again, this is a roll call vote. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Abstain.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Abstain.
And myself, yes. Finally, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 18th, 2025.
Second.
Made and seconded. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Abstain.
And myself, yes. All right, I believe now I will make a motion for us to, pursuant to Mass General Law C-30A, Section 21A6, to consider the purchase, sale, lease, or value of real property, town farm. Executive session will take place at the end of the meeting. I'm going to move to enter executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, town farm, based on my belief that discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the Governor Stoughton trustees. The trustees will not return to open session. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Driscoll. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Abstain.
And myself, yes. And I will take a motion to adjourn from the trustees.
I'll make a motion to adjourn from the meeting of the Governor Stoughton trustees.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, we are returning now to the Select Board meeting. And we have item number 6, report from the Health Department and discussion of opioid settlement funds.
Caroline, I can just pull it up for you if that'd be easier, the presentation. I'll pull it up.
That'd be great.
Okay. You just let me know when to move along.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. You hear me okay?
Yes.
My name's Caroline Kinsella. I'm the health director.
And we understand you have a presentation to make.
Yes.
All right.
So the Milton Health Department, what we do and why we do it. I'm just going to go over who we have as staff in the health department, what we're doing in the health department, and lastly, I'll go over opioid abatement funds and what we're doing with the money. So the staff for our health department, as I said, I'm Caroline Kinsella, the health director, full-time staff. We have an assistant health director, Emily Connors, community health social worker, Ann Grossman, a health agent, Carolyn Ho. We have part-time staff. Susan Poirier is our public health nurse. She works 16 hours a week. Jean Peterson, our senior administrative clerk, she works 21.5 hours. We have a mass in motion coordinator, and that's on a grant. Lisa Courtney works 16 hours. And we have Milton Coalition staff, Berlin and Anya. They're pretty new in the last probably about 6 months, and they help us run the Milton Coalition, and they are on a drug-free community grant, and that's how they're paid. And right now we're in our 8th year of the drug-free community grant, and that extends for 10 years.
Great.
Next slide, please. And we have an elected board running for 3-year terms. We have Roxanne Musto. She's our chair. Laura Richards, secretary, and Mary Stenson is our member. Next slide, please. So our mission statement. Our mission is to achieve the highest level of wellness for all Milton residents by adopting reasonable health regulations, by providing preventative health programming, and by preparing and planning for public health emergencies. Next slide. So what do we do? So with our public health nurse, we run seasonal flu clinics. We had 2 townwide clinics this year. And we had a clinic at Pierce School for the kids. We gave over 200 vaccines. Also, Home Inc., we gave vaccinations. Sue is still giving flu vaccines. So we have 2 clinics set up that is in the office. So we still have high dose and the regular seasonal flu vaccine. And you can call the health department right now to make an appointment if you'd like. Sue does the blood pressure clinics at the Milton Council on Aging once a month. We do educational opportunities. We publish a lot of articles in the Milton Times regarding radon, mosquitoes, ticks, and we do communicable disease surveillance. So that's the Massachusetts virtual network. And so any communicable disease that a Milton resident gets, we're seeing it live coming in, and then we have to respond to it. We get about 80 to 100 diseases that we see. We're seeing a lot of flu right now, COVID, norovirus. Recreational camps, we inspect a lot at Curry, Milton Academy. We have about 18 to 23 camps that we inspect every year. So very busy. Sue is very busy with the camps, checking immunizations for the kids and making sure the facilities are safe. Next slide, please. So we also do sanitary code enforcement, environmental health. We get complaints about housing. It could be a neighbor complaining about trash or rodents that they're seeing. We also have landlord and occupant disputes. So an occupant will call and say that maybe they don't have any heat or they have mice in the apartment, and then we go out and do an inspection, and we issue correction orders for that, and we work with the landlord and occupants. Neighborhood renewal division, working to keep properties in compliance and make sure that they're not, as you see some of the pictures, dumping trash, and we send out correction orders to keep the town healthy. Next slide. We also do food safety inspections, risk-based. So we permit all the restaurants, over 80 inspections that we do. We have the temporary food trucks. We have mobile food trucks, ice cream trucks, farmers markets. We have a couple of residential kitchens. And then we get complaints from residents about something that they might be seeing, and then we go out and investigate. So we're trying to keep Milton healthy residents. Next slide, please. We do tobacco control, so we do inspections. We have 9 total retailers in Milton, and actually the health department, the Board of Health, put a cap on that. So we have 9 retailers. We had banned flavored tobacco even before the state did, and we do annual inspections to make sure all that signage that you see on the right is in the tobacco establishments, and that they're not selling to people under 21. Next slide, please. And we're very happy we have a social worker, Ann Grossman. She does a lot of, counseling, boarding resources, mental health referrals. She does work with a lot of partners. Another thing that we did this year is we did a food drive that we've never done before. So we have a take one, leave one. Their shelves that we have them at the town hall. We have them here, Council on Aging, and at Winter Valley. And people can take something or they can leave something. We've got a lot of great donations from PTO, has delivered some food, and then people are dropping off things too. So there's definitely a need. We see that in the town hall. We'll fill it up, and then someone comes by and they're getting some food. So it's great that they can walk in and feel that there's no barrier and can access food. So we were happy that we were able to do that food drive. I think it definitely supplements what's in the take one, leave one. And also, Ann Grossman does emergency food bags. So that's something new, too, that we're seeing, that there is emergencies that happen. We're also helping with the schools. She gave 10 bags to the schools around Thanksgiving, and she has 18 requested for this coming season, coming up, the holiday season. So definitely there's a need there. And so we're happy to be able to fill that need where we can. Next slide, please. Emergency preparedness, local emergency planning committee I belong to, working on emergencies and planning. We do demolition plan reviews, so the building department has demolitions. We just make sure that everything's safe, that they're notifying neighbors, that there's no mercury or anything in what they're demolishing. We also have a sharps container, and actually that's getting a bit busier. So we take needles at the health department, so you can buy sharps containers, and then we also dispose of it, so we pay for disposal. We process burial permits, so anyone who passes away in Milton, we have to process burial permits. There's over 500 permits a year. We do pool inspections, Mass in Motion's there. That's a grant, and Lisa Courtney is working on that. She was working on food insecurities and also language access. We have septic systems in Milton, so not everyone's tied into the sewer. We have about 2 to 3% septic, so we do go out and do inspections. That's me on the right there, in a septic hole and leaching field on the right there. So we go out and do inspections. We also do animal inspections. So we do quarantines if any dogs are biting dogs or cats biting people. We have to issue quarantines for that. And then we go out and we lift the quarantine after so many days. It's 10 days if dogs are biting another dog or whatnot. As I said, tobacco control, body art, microblading. We had one microblader a couple of years ago for eyebrows. Now we have a micropigmentation permit. And this is a gentleman who's actually working with the hairline. So he's pigmenting the scalp. So he just opened up a couple of months ago.
I think it's too late for me.
So again, as I said, grant management, and then the Milton Coalition that meets every 2 months. And we have a good group of, we have a picture right there, a good group that we meet and discuss alcohol and drugs, and yeah, it's great. Oh, and you see the chickens there too. So we do chicken inspections also, any kind of animals. Next slide, please. So you wanted me to talk about the opioid settlement fund. So Milton is set to receive $1.3 million through 2037. And these are the 7 areas that we can spend that money on: opioid use disorder treatment, supporting people in recovery and treatment, connections to care, access to care, harm reduction, address the needs of criminally justice involved persons, supporting pregnant or parenting women and their families, including babies in neonatal abstinence syndrome, preventing the misuse of opioids, and implementation, prevention education. So that's where we can use our money. Next slide, please. And we have received to date a little over $400,000 so far. And I think the first year or two, really listening to a lot of state calls, trying to figure out how we're going to spend the money. And we want to do it right. We had a lot of webinars and state calls. And what we decided to do is hire a consultant to do community engagement in Milton to find out what can we spend the money on? What do people with lived experiences want us to spend the money on? So we did a year-long community engagement. We hired Sky Fries Cole, and she did this engagement with the community. We did 11 stakeholder interviews, 4 focus groups. One was with the Milton Coalition, just to find out, we want to get feedback from people with lived experiences, like what's the best way to spend the money. We did Narcan training for the health department staff and also town employees. We installed a box, and it's in the foyer of Town Hall. It has Narcan in it, so it's for Narcan distribution, which is free. And you can also get it in the health department, but it's anyone can access it for free, the Narcan. We hired a recovery coach. So another thing that they ask you to do with the money is kind of like pool it. So we have Norfolk County 8, that's our health departments that we're working with. And we all put in money, and we hired a recovery coach, and that's free. And so that's for any Milton resident to be able to, access. And then we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office for $2,500, and that's for sober living. So if anyone needs a scholarship for sober living, they can reach out to us and say, we need the money for this. And I'm pleased to say that we've released large grant funding opportunity for local initiatives. So we actually borrowed this idea from Dedham. So Dedham had a grant application, and I saw it, and I said, this looks like a great application. And I talked to them and said, can we borrow some of your language? And so we created our own for Milton. And it's for local initiatives to help residents who have been affected by opioids. And I'm happy to say that we've received 4 applications for this. One's from the schools, one from the Milton Arts Center, one from the Sun Will Rise, and the last one is escaping me. But we're working on those right now, and we're going to be doing a rubrics to find out, did they meet everything that we're asking for them to do? Oh, the Family Restored, that's the 4th one, the Family Restored. So we're working on that in the next week or 2. And then we'll bring that to the board, and then they'll make some decisions. So the money is $20,000. So we're hoping for some, great impacts with this $20,000 to help residents.
Is
Proven
that
impacted.
20,000 per grant or 20,000 total?
20,000 per, well, 20,000 per grant. Yeah. And
Mr.
then,
Chair, quick question, just before you go on time, which, the MOU with Norfolk County Sheriffs, the 2,500, is that one a year, or can you do more than one of those a year?
so, good question. And I don't know the answer to that because we haven't gotten any
Yeah,
call from them
hasn't
yet.
happened yet.
But I'm sure if somebody needed it for more than just 2,500, they could say, we need it for someone going in again. Yeah, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. So we're trying to, spend that money wisely. As I said, we've been very busy trying to, the grants and get it to the people that need it for the opioid abatement money.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the overall report as well. We've been having everybody come in and share their work, and this was really excellent.
Okay.
So I'd love to turn it over to members for questions or comments or thoughts or anything.
There's a lot of rats.
Do you know, somebody said to me, I don't know, I can't believe that Milton has rats.
Two-legged rats.
Yep. So, yeah, we do have rats. Residents will call us and then we'll go out to inspect to see, why are the rats on the property? Is there harborage that people, the rats can go into some brush or whatnot and tell them to clean it up? What's keeping the rat at the property? So yes, we've gone out for rodents. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Collins, Mr. Chair, I really, much of what goes on there I know about, but I really want to comment on Ian Grossman's role as, I've said the same about the clinician at the police department. Like, a lot of people don't realize the challenges that can come up. As Mr. Milano's, we collectively worked on a case with Ian on a building permit where Ian had to get involved, and she really helped us mediate that situation. And she does mental health is, I always, they call it the silent killer, but you just, there are so many challenges in it today, but she's been a great addition for you and a great addition to the town, and I just want to, I could give a lot of shout outs, but I want to give her one tonight. She does a great job.
Yeah.
I want to say that on behalf of
Yeah, thank you.
what
She
I've
does a
seen her
great
do
job.
for us.
And my staff does a great job.
They do.
They really do.
Except when it comes to chasing food trucks from Milton Festival. I'm kidding. You always have to have humor, Caroline.
Other questions or comments? Ms.
Yeah.
Haggerty?
So thank you for all the work that you do, you and your team, to keep our town healthy. And thanks for the presentation on the opioid settlement funds. I was wondering, so you've received 400,000 plus so far. How much has been dispersed to date?
A little over 25,000.
Okay.
Yep.
And then in terms of the populations that you're planning to target, I know you've had a consultant do some community listening. One of the communities or demographic I was wondering about are grandparents who have to care for their grandchildren, possibly continue in the workforce. Do we have a population such as that, and are they accessing settlement funds?
That's a really good question. I haven't heard Ann saying anything about that, but I'm sure there are some grandparents that are taking care of their grandchildren.
It's a trend nationally, but I
Yes.
was just curious how it, how our community is affected by it.
I'm sure it is affected. You're right. Yeah.
Mr. Daly, I know you're feeling under the weather, so just feel free to put your hand up if you have any questions or comments. And there you go.
Hi, Caroline. Thank you for coming in. The question that came to mind for me is about public health. I saw you listed some pieces about social services as well as the local initiatives funding. And so I want to know for the Board of Health, have there been any, over the years, any public health initiatives or any sort of surveying around, differences in quality of life in Milton, things with our changing population, perhaps in our youth population? I know we've had discussions about, healthy outlets for young people, disease prevention, as well as, addiction prevention. Are there any public health initiatives where we've tried and perhaps we need some more support, or ideas or issues that have come up for the board?
That's a great question. So we did a community health assessment, the first assessment that we've ever done for the health department. It took about 1.5 years, and Laurie Stillman was instrumental. She was our consultant working with us, and the report actually is on the health department website. We got a lot of information about that. One of the things that I'm hoping to do is bring some more programming to Milton. I spoke a little bit to Nick about this child and maternal health, and hoping to, the state is saying that that should be one of our priorities of 5 foundational public health services that we provide, and currently we don't provide it, but hoping to provide something in Milton for all the newborns and moms that might be facing depression or whatnot after they have a baby. So hoping to have a little program like that start. Got to start somewhere. Yeah.
Is there anything in that community health assessment that we haven't had the opportunity to sort of get to or address, or maybe 1 or 2 things that are at top of mind from that?
What we have done with language too, this is something new in the health department's language access. So I'm very thankful that if someone comes in and doesn't speak the English language, I'm now able to call a hotline number and get translations on the spot. So that's something new that the health departments, the Norfolk County 8 health departments have rolled out in the past year. And it has been helpful because we have had some landlords or occupants speak another language, and then we just call the language line, and then we're able to, discuss with them what we're seeing. So that's been very helpful.
Thank
The
you.
language line. Yep. Thank you.
So thank you very much. As someone whose day job is public health, I always like hearing, and I will try to resist the temptation, but I do have a couple of quick questions. You mentioned the Sharps increase. I was
Yes.
curious if that is related to the GLP-1s.
I think that it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we see a lot of times people are passing away and they have a lot of medication that they're cleaning out someone's house, and they
Okay.
come in with a whole bunch of stuff. And so you can pick up some Sharp containers. The big one's $10 and the small one's $7, and that includes disposal too. So we have Stericycle come and pick that up.
Okay, that's a better reason for an increase in Sharps than we
Yes.
might have seen 5 years ago. And then in terms of the opioid abatement funds, for the work that's being done in addiction there, is that limited to opioid-related addiction, or could that be used for other types of addiction?
So it's opioid related, but mental health kind of is a big part of it too. So that can be used for mental health too.
Okay,
Yep.
great. Thank you. I resisted the temptation to write down more questions, but it's clear that you're doing amazing work, and
Thank you.
we're very grateful for your service. So if I don't hear any other questions from the members, I think we can thank you, and you can resume your regularly scheduled evening.
Thank you. Thanks,
Caroline.
everyone.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Having
much.
me in.
Okay. Well, Mr. Milano, item 7, fiscal year 2027 budget. You promised that we would have something to look at today.
Yes, I will have a few slides
promised.
to provide an
I
update.
had a feeling you might.
We met on Friday as the Finance Committee, where we discussed a lot of this, and I met with the Warrant Committee last night as well, where we talked through the status of the fiscal 27 budget as it stands presently. I'll just caveat that it's a work in progress. We have some challenges to iron out on 27, so we're working through that, and been in touch with both our counterparts at the school department and the other boards and committees that have a role in the budget process here. So I'll just take through the slides at kind of a high level. So for fiscal 27, for the revenue outlook, right now things are somewhat still in flux as we finalize our immediate outlook for fiscal 27. More data points emerge in the next 4 to 6 weeks that enable us to arrive at final estimates for some of these that are still in progress. So the baseline, however, is our 2.5% property tax increase. Property taxes are the biggest source of revenue for the town, and we're assuming that we will tax to the max that we're able to under Proposition 2.5. So of new revenue, that would be about $2.8 million. And then in addition to that, we're allowed to capture any new growth. New growth is additions, renovations, and new construction that occurs throughout the town, as well as maintenance and expansion and replacement of utility infrastructure that Eversource and National Grid own. So altogether, right now, our estimate for property tax revenue is $3.8 million for fiscal 27 in new funds. The property tax levy is expected to be about $116 million in fiscal 27 with this added to last year's tax levy. Local receipts is a broader category of fees and taxes that we collect locally. The largest portion of that is motor vehicle excise tax, which is based on state valuation information and state rates, but we collect it locally and keep that tax here. Generally, that's our budget estimate is about $10.3 million, and we're expecting an increase of 1% from last year to this year of so that's about $100,000. This is a place where the macroeconomic conditions of what's going on can have a big impact. Motor vehicle excise relies upon folks purchasing new cars or leasing new cars on a regular basis. Building permit revenue is another big contributor to local receipts. And while we've had very high collections on building permit revenue, that's driven also in part by large projects that have been permitted over the last few years. The 582 Blue Hill Ave 40B project, which received its building permit in the last month or so, at a building permit fee of upwards of $450,000 that was collected in this fiscal year. So these are substantial payments that are driving a little bit of an outlier revenue on local receipts. In addition to that is interest income. So the money that we're earning on the town's cash savings has been higher than typical in the last few years due to high rates. And I do want to give Treasurer Joanna McCarthy credit for her managing of the funds to try to maximize rates and different savings vehicles. So this is a place where we hope that as we get through the next month or so, we're able to feel confident in increasing that revenue forecast. But for now, we're keeping it at a 1% increase over the prior year. Indirect costs from enterprise funds, that's a typical 5% year increase. So that's $76,000 in new money. The second largest source of revenue for the town is state aid. This current year, it's about $18.6 million in funds that are coming from the state to the town. The three largest sources of that are Chapter 70 education aid, unrestricted general government aid, which is about $4 million, and that's just aid that flows to the town for any purposes. And then the other actually big payment that we get from the town is a payment for the state-owned land, which is based on a valuation and a budget appropriation that the state includes in its budget. That's about $1.5 million. And we're in, I think, the top 2 in the state in terms of receipts for state-owned land. So that is good. For what we're budgeting year over year is, for right now, what really we consider kind of placeholder forecasts, because the governor's budget will be out in January with which we'll use as the new marker for the fiscal 27 budget. So we've budgeted 1% and 2% increase on our largest state aid accounts. But that's really just a placeholder. We should have better information in January. House Ways and Means and Senate Ways and Means held their consensus revenue hearing today. So that's another data point that will feed into that governor's budget that will come out next month. So the bottom line is our overall revenue forecast is about $150 million in fiscal 27. So that's a $4.2 million increase in funding from the prior year, which is about a 3% increase. So our revenue is expected to go up by 3%. I'll just note that other revenue sources include free cash, although we have new policies that restrict that from being used for recurring operating expenses. And then the operating budget stabilization fund, which was established in last year's override, has a recurring source of $700,000 in tax levy tax payments, and then was also capitalized with $2 million. So neither of those revenue sources, although they are available, are considered as a revenue source right now in the fiscal 27 forecast.
Before you go to the next slide, I just want to see if there's any questions on this one.
I just have one.
Mr. Wells.
So on fair share money, do you have that rolled in on the state aid, or what? You don't even allocate for the possibility of getting it. I can't.
We haven't incorporated it as a revenue source.
Yeah.
Where we've seen the money flowing to the town through that is primarily in additional road money,
Right.
not necessarily to support operating budgets, but that we'll have to see how that shakes out for 27.
Would that happen when you get like your final state aid figure, or?
That it just they provided it through the Chapter 90 program, so that it didn't come through the budget at all. Or it didn't come through state aid at all. It just went directly to the Chapter 90 account to be used for road works.
It was a supplemental versus being in the
Base budget.
It gets released later because you're not sure how it's going to be. It was actually higher than they thought it was going to be. That's why I know that you're right, Chapter 90. Isn't there Chapter 70 as well? Isn't there some?
I believe there was an
Education there as
additional
well?
payment.
There was
the
last
circuit
year.
breaker.
Chapter 90
Circuit breaker
bump
money,
up.
Yep.
The Chapter 90 bump up was on a recommendation. It's not, well, I think it was separate from Chapter 70, obviously, but the Chapter 90 was, there was a commission of town administrators that recommended the increase.
In
And you
Chapter
guys
90.
supported it
Chapter
for
90,
Chapter
yeah.
90, yeah.
It's something like circuit breaker if additional money.
It's funded with it's like bonded against the fair share.
Yep. No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've historically received about $600,000 in Chapter 90, and now we're receiving and hope to continue to receive about $900,000 in Chapter 90. It's increased by 50% for us. On the circuit breaker point, if additional money is appropriated into the circuit breaker, that doesn't show up in the cherry sheets. That goes directly to the school districts themselves. So that would be additional money for the schools that doesn't have to pass through our budget.
Right.
I just have one quick question too. Local receipts at 1% increase seems low even for a conservative estimate.
So if you go back to fiscal 23, we brought in about $10.7 million in local receipts. So you only have to go back 2 years to be where we're at in terms of anticipating where that number is for fiscal 27. I don't disagree. I think the challenge is, and what we're working on now is unpeeling, building permits have been high. There's been a lot of one-time big payments that drive that. In addition, last year, penalties and interest was about $600,000 over where it's historically been because the treasurer is chasing down on some outstanding tax title owement. So again, that's $500,000 high, and then there's a $600,000 over here. Then interest income 5 years ago was $50,000, and last year was $1.7 million. So trying to feel confident in what we can consider a recurring source of revenue, not only for fiscal 27, but also beyond, because if we build in, if we're able to fund things with jumping local receipts in 27, we got to make sure it's there in 28 as well. So it's just balancing those interests.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to
That's what we're doing right now, is just trying to get to a place where we feel comfortable with a final recommendation on those revenue forecasts.
Thank you. Other questions on the slide before we move on? Go ahead, Mr. Milano, then.
So I've pulled to the expense forecast together at a really high level, so I'll speak to a couple pieces of it, and then you can see the bottom line here. So what we've pulled in for fiscal 27 projection right now is an initial school budget forecast of a 5.2% increase that's been discussed and in their finance subcommittee meetings. Blue Hills Regional, we pull out just because it's a little bit of a special line item there. That's a smaller amount overall, but it jumps around because the school population there, just a few students can mean a significant change in what our requirement to fund Blue Hills at is changes year by year. The shared category is primarily employee benefits, our health insurance payments, our pension payments, our OPEB payment, general insurance, our debt service payments. We consider the Consolidated Facilities Department a shared department as that supports both town and schools. The reason there's a significant reduction there is we also have capital in that account, in that category, and any kind of one-time payments to stabilization. So last year we had about $900,000 in capital. We had additional stabilization fund payments, so it was higher last year. So it's a reduction. I'll also note in the shared category where we have health insurance budgeted right now at a 7% increase year over year, which we're concerned won't be accurate, and I'll speak to that more in a moment. For the town departmental budgets, these and the school budget requests represent level service budgets that department heads have submitted to our request. To us, they have submitted additional needs-based requests that we're evaluating. However, right now at a level service projection, we're at a 3.6 year over year across all the town departments. Some departments have gone up a little bit more than others. One example is the fire department, where they've had 5 or 6 turnovers, so senior firefighters retiring, coming in and being replaced for new firefighters. So their budget is essentially flat year over year, just because of turnover of people, but another department might go up by more. But on the aggregate, the increase is 3.6% for right now. So there's work to do here. Obviously, this indicates that we're working against a deficit of $2.5 million based on our projected revenue and our projected expenses. These are preliminary numbers, and we're still working through them. But I'll just the overall point I want to make is that we go back to our revenue slide and we bring in, $3.8 million in new tax revenue we can count on year over year. But at the end of the day, we look at a 3% increase in revenue. So our expenses in the aggregate got to stay in line with that, or else we run an unsustainable budget. So our challenge over the next couple of months, working with schools and working with the warrant committee, is to take a closer look at these requests, take a closer look at our revenue, and find a way to get to a middle ground that is a budget that works for 27, but is also sustainable for future years.
Nick, how's the current year looking for the school department?
So we've remained in touch. They've made some decisions at the beginning of the year that they believe gives them capacity to manage the year appropriately. And then on the town side, we always talk about snow and ice as the biggest factor on a year-to-year basis. We've had 2 salting operations this year. One of them happened, of course, to be on a Sunday, where we're paying double time, which hurts a little more than another storm might. But that's always the biggest kind of consideration on the town department side is what our winter looks like. We've had department vacancies. We've had departments with vacancies that right now we're running pretty positive for fiscal 26, but we'll just have to watch that DPW budget throughout the winter.
Other questions?
Just
Mr.
one
Wallace?
quick question. So when the department heads in their budget prep and submission for this year, so they're submitting a level service, and then what are you keeping, anything additional? Are you keeping, I used to call it a wish list, like something above and beyond you, and then if there's any extra, well, actually stealing from Mr. Walker from his time when he championed the level service dollar budget here. Keep it as a wish list, so then you go back and review any additional requests and what you see you can find.
Yes, right now, some departments have made some requests that would require additional funding.
Right.
We've solicited those and asked them to we did a much more thorough request for that last year. So a lot of the requests that we saw last year were being brought forward again because nothing was funded. There are smaller tweaks in terms of how departments are using the dollars they have a little bit differently. And the health director alluded to a program that she's working to fund within existing appropriations by moving some stuff around. So that's something we're taking a look at. But we're also keeping an eye on what the asks have been. I mean, we heard from Chief King in terms of additional civilian support in a technology position. Chief Madden in terms of additional firefighters that he'd be requesting and has requested. We've talked about software investments, both through the IT department, but also for budgeting and for human resources and employee benefits. So these are the kinds of things we're looking at and trying to make something work within the resources that we have. But yes, we're soliciting those.
Other questions?
Best part of the job.
So the healthcare costs in particular, insurance costs, you and I have talked about this a little bit. This is a problem that everybody's facing right
Sure.
now. How are other towns kind of projecting? Have you asked anyone how they're projecting costs on them?
Yes, it's
Not that there's a science to it or anything, but
no. So Milton is self-insured. So, and I have a couple slides to that. So I'll just kick over to this now.
yeah,
But
sorry.
so we are self-insured. So we are paying our claims directly based on the rates that Harvard Pilgrim and Blue Cross negotiate with the medical providers. Some of the communities around us are in the Group Insurance Commission, which is the state agency for health insurance. So their annual adjustments are based on what the GIC is doing. Other communities around us are in with our other insurer. So we purchase general liability insurance from Maya. Maya has a health benefits trust, so a number of communities are in Maya. And they don't have a single rate for all their entities. They kind of treat each entity based on their own claims experience. So that's a long-winded way of saying everybody's kind of all over the place because everybody's a little bit different. Last year, most communities were in double digits, just like we were. The GIC as a whole, I think, was 12% year over year. We were at a 14. Community I used to work in, Medfield, was at a 19 last year. Everybody's budgeting in the 14 to 15% range, and that's what our health insurance advisors recommended for fiscal 27 is we have to take that 7% that's in my numbers today and really double that to 14 to be realistic as to where things are going. That's based on our claims experience through November. So that's also 5 months of data. It's not a full year.
Mm-hmm.
We try to hold that number until like March, and then we make a final estimate. The other thing is there are changes in the market and in what the carriers are covering that might affect our costs as well. You asked about GLP-1s earlier. Blue Cross and Harvard are dropping those as part of what they will cover with employer plans. So that could have an impact because it would mean financial savings, but it would also mean a change in what folks are expected or are used to seeing covered. So there is a potential for savings there, but for right now, based on our claims history, we're looking that we need to revise that forecast and to drop back to this. Like this projection is expecting a 7% increase, and new information as of Friday is saying really it should be about a 14. That adds about $1 million here. So we're looking at really $3.5 million if that projection holds tight and there isn't any adjustments there. The Mass Municipal Association held a forum in October. Our advisor, Hild Group, held a forum in November. There's been Boston Globe stories that have covered this, that employers are facing this issue. And it's really a cost-sharing question because we, as the employer, have this cost. To decrease our costs, it means we shift costs to the employees. So it's the magic bullet to solve the medical cost crisis is unfortunately out of our hands. And it's drawing a lot of attention because what we've seen in our history, and I'll just jump ahead, is it's not unusual for us to have a jump in a health insurance cost, but what's typical is then things will settle down. As you can see, we had a big jump in fiscal 20. Obviously, that's a little bit different. We had COVID where there was a massive underutilization of health insurance, but we were pretty flat for a number of years there, and we had a significant jump for fiscal 26. And if you look at our claims history on the medical expense chart, you can see where medical claims have been bouncing around $15-16 million for the last 6 or 7 years. We had that huge decrease in utilization in fiscal 21 that everyone saw. And then the spike from fiscal 24 to 25 is the issue that we're trying to address right now. And while we're on target with about where we expected fiscal 26 to be last year, it's at a new normal. It means we have some ground to continue to make up to balance out. So the health insurance question I answered at length because it's going to be a significant factor in this year's budget. In an optimistic scenario, we would have adjusted the insurance premiums, and then we would have been kind of able to bounce along at a 3 to 5% increase for a couple of years. In the history, that's not the case here, fortunately.
When's the current agreement expires when?
On plan design and everything. So the agreement was we wouldn't change plan design for 3 years after the prior agreement. That went into effect in January of 2020. So the town has the right to try to make some plan design changes, and we're evaluating whether that might be an option that we need to look at.
Because I think it was back, GIC really got pushed hard under the Patrick administration. They pushed hard here, and the premise was that it was going to alleviate this issue, and you were going to get health costs at a much lower rate. But here, 15 years out, basically the same. There's no difference, which is part of the reason the select board back then made a decision not to.
To go into the GIC, a community has to elect to do that by December 1st to go in for the next fiscal year. So to go into GIC for fiscal 27 isn't an option for the town at this rate. The earliest the town could enter the GIC would be December or fiscal 28, a full year and a half away. And the self-insured piece of it is where if we have good claims years and we have employees and retirees who are healthy, we're able to avoid significant increases. But because we are a small pool, if we start to have more experiences and more health issues, a few high claims can be costly for everybody. So that's the risk that we face with being in the self-insured category. So that's the health insurance piece of it.
Small piece.
Yes. I think that really covered what I was trying to speak to this evening in terms of where things stand today. As I alluded to, we've been in constant contact with our counterparts at the schools. We had a lengthy health insurance discussion with them last week, and I've been staying in touch through the finance committees and through the budget coordination committee. So more work to come, but I just wanted to provide this update now.
Any further questions for Mr. Milano on this? I know we have a capital budget coming up next.
We need twice as much time for that.
Well, let's get into it. I think we're done with questions on this for the moment.
On capital, just that similar update as to last week, the capital committee continues to meet. We've had meetings with the Consolidated Facilities Director, Tom McCarthy, and the DPW Director, Marina Fernandez, to hear their requests. DPW Director is requesting additional roads funding above and beyond what we've been appropriating in recent years, as she's pushing to continue to push money into that road program. So we're evaluating that alongside the other capital requests.
Is it above and beyond the additional 600,000?
So what we've appropriated in the last several years has been $1 million for roads.
Yeah.
And so she's come in with a request to increase that next year to 1.5 million.
So it would be
above and beyond
300,000 beyond what Chapter 90 would be.
It would be in addition to all of that. So
Yeah.
that'd
That's
be
an addition
900.
to
Yeah.
that. That's an
Right,
addition to that.
right.
Yeah. So it's all a big pool in that request.
So to her point, to us, and your point, you as well, to us, capital committee is, and this I've been on 9 years, and it predates me. It's been $1 million for as long as I can remember. And $1 million, as you know, $1 million
Doesn't get
today
you anything.
doesn't get you anything.
Yeah.
And so, this goes back to Chase before he departed. He was advocating that we were going to have to increase that number, and so this might be the first year we have actually made formally to make the bump. Actually, I think the committees, to my point, I don't want to speak for all of them, but the committees significantly,
Yeah.
because we're going to have to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you, how much we hear on roads, and just, I talked to Tom McCarthy's sidebar afterwards, and he'd have gone on for 2 hours in the meeting, so even at $1.5 million,
Yeah.
you're
That's
still
not
a
even a
dog.
Band-Aid.
Yeah, you're still a dog. But I mean, in capital, every department, we're only getting ones.
No, I
You might get lucky and get a 1 and a 2 in a given year, but you run it last year. Like it's the pressure, and then just maintaining these buildings is immense. I don't know. I'll let you go. I'll come back.
No, that's all I was gonna. It was just that we're evaluating those requests. That's one of the bigger ones, and then alongside the other departmental requests that we have. So the capital committee should finalize its recommendation by mid-January and be in good shape to do so. I mentioned the debt service budget, so we just have a lot of the projects that have been approved and several years ago that haven't been borrowed yet that we should have come online in this year. So I've said this a couple times, I don't know at this committee, but in June of 22 at town meeting, town approved a new ladder truck, $1.6 million. It has not arrived in Milton yet. It should be here next summer, early part of next summer. In May of 23, an $850,000 new engine. That has not arrived yet. That will be arriving in the spring. Lower Guile Turf Fields, that's $2 million in borrowing, which has been tied up in abutter appeals, increasing our costs, delaying when that field will be online. We might have an OAR, a decision that allows that project to move forward in the next couple of months, so that could be built next year. So that just means that's $4.5 million of capital projects that would have been staggered over the last few years that will all come online next year. So the challenge for the operating budget for fiscal 27 a little bit, but really 28 beyond, is just making sure that we don't overload the debt. So we have a massive spike because of how some of this timing has happened. So that's the work that we're trying to do in the background to figure out how to ease everything in, not have a significant spike. So that's where things stand on that.
Okay, any further questions on the capital budget?
We'll be back. Meeting tomorrow? No, it's tonight. No, Thursday.
Moving on to item 9, discussion update approval of East Milton Fire Station RFP and appraisal services. Mr. Milano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This had been something that the board had discussed as considering conducting an appraisal on that property. The town has previously used LandVest on a couple of real estate acquisitions, so I followed back up with them. They submitted a proposal for a full appraisal report of $9,250 on that. And it would be ready within 2 months of them getting the approval to move forward. We haven't quite finalized that RFP, so in terms of timeline, that's a little bit up in the air if the board still wants to move forward, but that is the proposal that I've received, and that fee sounds about what we would expect to cover.
You need a motion or anything on that, or you?
Well, so I have a quick question.
Sorry.
That's okay. So, in the proposal, in the cover letter, there's the full narrative and the restricted appraisal. I mean, it's a couple $1,000. It's like splitting hairs, but what does the restricted appraisal get you that the full narrative does not?
It's just a higher level of detail that we'll have.
Sorry, the inverse of what I said. Yeah.
It's a higher level of detail. I think
Yeah.
if we expect to potentially be negotiating with a buyer, to
Yeah.
have a full report
Yeah.
is just a better document to have to
Okay.
defend the town's position on what we think the value is.
Yeah.
If the value comes in lower than we had hoped, then
Okay.
it's just more background and a higher level of effort to pull together.
Yeah.
Mr. Daly has his hand up. Mr. Daly?
Yeah, Nick, on the proposal, this only accounts for sales out in the market, right? There's no piece for potential if we kept it.
No, it will evaluate a fair market value to sell as well as a fair market rent value to lease. The one restriction that the proposal assumes is that there's a requirement that the building must remain. So when he does his work, it'll assume that a potential buyer has to keep the structure. But it could be a purchase. He'll evaluate both fair market sale and a fair market lease.
Fair market, but would that fair market lease also encompass refurbishment, any sort of updates or changes to the building to make it usable?
Yeah, it
For the
assumes that there would be a fit-up cost component as required, and it's something that we discussed when we were talking about the site. In
Okay.
terms of, particularly in terms of what a lease term might have to look like to make it worthwhile to anybody to invest into the structure itself.
Can I just follow up on that?
Mr. Wells.
Mr. Daly, so just to follow up onto your question, because if we don't have that, any of those costs are going to shift right over to the capital line item. They're going to become a capital request again. And at least one of them is going to become a priority. That's just dollars that I don't think we have right now, we really needed somewhere else.
Other questions? Just my own 2 cents. I think from the community forum that we had on this, this is basically one of the requests that the community had, was to have a better understanding of the value of the property, both for sale and for lease. So I think this would be really helpful. My recommendation will probably be, once we've completed this, we may want to have another community forum where we have this report available so that folks can understand better the dollars and cents behind the decision, or just whatever decision we decide to go forward with. So I'm of mind to go for the full report.
I am too.
So we can have a motion on this if you'd like.
I'll make a motion to, as the chair stated to Ms. Haggerty's comment, that we go for the full report
From Landvest.
from Landvest.
So there's a motion to approve the proposal from Landvest for the appraisal services for the East Milton Fire Station RFP,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Driscoll. Any further discussion? Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Ms. Haggerty,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Just a final comment that Landvest, for the new members, Landvest did do a great job for us, both on the acquisition of, I think they helped on the WAF project, actually acquiring the WAF back, 88 WAF, as well as the fire station project and the Discovery School transfer, all the deal with that as well. Landvest was involved in all of it. They did a good job.
Our next item is discussion update, Route 28 Randolph Ave Road Diet Pilot. I know we spent some time on this last week with the decision for signs. Please go ahead. Ms. Haggerty is recusing herself.
I was going to say, we're all set. We don't have to do anything. It's good. You can stay
She
here.
might just have to hop out and hop back in. Is there anything new on this one, Mr. Milano?
Only that the signs for the change in local roads along Reedsdale and Highland, those signs have been ordered. We expect delivery next week, and they will be installed shortly thereafter. We've been in touch with MassDOT, so they're aware, and we've coordinated that once the signs are installed, they'll be sure to let the app companies know, and that we have some temporary signage as well in the interim to more clearly announce. We expect a little bit of confusion from drivers at the outset, but the signage is ordered and hopefully to be installed in the next.
Mr. Driscoll?
Tonight, coming here at 6:30, I had to wait 2 sets of lights to get through Randolph, coming to go on to Reedsdale Road.
Okay.
There's the people coming off Reedsdale Road, coming from East Milton, block that
Blocking still,
intersection. It's just a free-for-all.
Yeah.
And my biggest fear is when there's a snowstorm hits and the salt truck's stuck in that line. And then the cars make it icy. It's happened before when it was a 4-lane. It's just a disaster, Nick.
Yeah.
And I just fear for that.
No, I'm
Seriously.
with you. Yeah, it's
And
that
that intersection, if they just, I don't know why you can't go back to having a policeman there directing traffic, stopping them from blocking that intersection. Because it holds up all the different directions for people to cross over. You know what I mean?
Yep. And one thing in terms of not enforcement, although we've requested additional enforcement on that issue in particular, in terms of the don't block the box, MassDOT's looking at any potential signage or paint that will reiterate, and granted, drivers may choose to continue to ignore signage and paint, but at least to make it a much more obvious that somebody's violating it is one thing we're looking at through MassDOT. And then we have continued work to do in terms of the enforcement piece of it on our. That is a Milton jurisdictional.
But some
issue.
nights it's great, and like tonight, the traffic was backed up to Buckingham Road.
Yep.
You know, waiting
Right.
to get on to Randolph Ave.
Right.
It has its good nights and bad nights.
No, I know, and I mean, the data that MassDOT shared with
They showed that.
just shows that that is certainly the case, and it's, I think, of the issues, that's the hardest one that we're going to have to work on over the next little while to come up with some solutions on, in terms of folks who are just trying to get onto Randolph to get out of town. So.
In terms of the don't block the box, I'm sorry, Mr. Driscoll, were you done
No,
with your
that's
comments?
fine.
So the revenue from that, in other words, the fines, if we decided to enforce that, would come to Milton.
I don't think it's
If they're
finable.
ticketed,
If they're ticketed by
I don't-
NPD?
I don't think it's ticketing. I don't think it's an offense. So it's more of an awareness than a, kind of like a blue box outside of a police station, a red box outside.
No, I mean, like, if the intersection is painted
You're right, that's what I'm
to
talking
prevent
about.
people from going in.
I don't think it's. It's more of an awareness versus a fine. I could be wrong, but
I know it's a fine in
wasn't
some
well-
places. I haven't seen it in Milton, so I didn't
Yeah,
know.
I don't-
But that was my, because,
some
you know,
additional homework.
that might be some good homework. And I think knowing that we're going to have the signs installed next week, knowing that we've continued to ask for enforcement, it might be a good idea. I mean, I would assume this will be on our agenda for our January, what is it, 12th or whatever? we're meeting, 13th. Maybe Chief King could also for it.
Okay.
We could have it earlier on, or he could join us remotely.
actually,
Um,
Sergeant Ernst might be the one you want here. He's the guy overseeing it.
Any further questions on this? Ms. Hegarty, I believe you can return. We're going to move on to net metering agreement with Rewild Renewables LLC. Mr. Milano.
We talked about this briefly last week. I had noted that the contract is with attorneys for review. That is still working its way. We got some comments back from KP and then some additional comments from Rewild, so we're continuing to work through that. And then KP did acknowledge that as an agreement of this term, it'll likely require a town meeting vote as well for final executions or prior to final execution. So it's something we're also tracking as a potential warrant article, but we'll have that squared away by the next meeting on the 13th.
Great. Any questions on that? All right, we are moving ahead to the discussion approval of board and committee appointments. We're going to start with A, Capital Improvement Planning Committee appointments. We have one appointment to make and two applicants. Mr. Milano.
Sure. I'll just note, Mr. Lavash had applied a while ago, and as a member of the Park Commissioners, just for this board's consideration, the Capital Improvement Committee has two resident spots that are supposed to be kind of resident at larges. So I think our practice has been to shy away from putting on another representative from another board or committee. So I just wanted to mention that. Elizabeth Barry and Robert Hiss are the two other applicants.
Understood. So do we have anything from the members on this?
Yeah.
Mr. Wells?
So I did review both. We're on the chair of that committee. I mean, the one thing, I'm in my 9th year, and as you know, you attend every meeting, and Mr. Driscoll sat on it. As this is filling your spot, actually. The two residents who have sat, who are there, Michael Hale and Lorraine D., have been there the entire time I've been there. The other parties make up Amy Dex, the town accountant, a member of this board, a member of the school committee. And that's really been, the only changes have really been, I think we went from Lane Craighead to Betty White to now Lizzie. Very little. The one thing, and I'm going to make a recommendation, I looked at both of these, and is that the one thing that you really need in being on that committee is a true benefit is an understanding of the operations and what goes on there. As you see, I mean, it's very in-depth, and the ways that you're trying to meet capital needs of department heads while dealing with, I'm pointing to the screen, it's like the prior slides, dealing with the complexities of how limited you are. And I know Mr. Walker's not here, but I go back to he and Tom Hurley, who they really kind of, from a good part of my deputy chief time, writing, it was just a paper exercise, which kind of got us into why we're where we are today. And so given that, I mean, Mr. Hiss has a ton of operational and understanding of the town budget, given that, because there was another name that came from a similar background that he didn't apply, but that I thought would have filled the role. I think he would be a good fit, and I would nominate Mr. Hiss to fill that vacancy on that capital improvement committee. So I make that as a motion, yeah, I'll make that as a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Just to the Ms. Barry, I read, she's excited and wants to, I don't know her, but one of the things she wrote was she had no experience at all until, like, apply to another committee, like, don't. This is just a committee where having background on the station would make your life that much easier. So that was how I came to that. That's all. That was my final comment.
Seeing no other discussion, we have a motion and it's been seconded. This will be a roll call vote like they all will be this evening. Mr. Daly.
Yes, and I'll also just sort of echo the statements from Member Wells there about Mr. Hiss's experience, as well as, no slight to Miss Barry, but it's is a committee where the experience is incredibly valuable, and I hope that she does come back and apply for a few other committees where I think she'd be a great asset as well.
Mr. Driscoll.
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Congratulations to Mr. Hiss. You have some work in front of you. Our next item is Municipal Broadband Committee. There's one applicant for, is there just the one seat that's open, or is there more seats for this one?
There are currently 4 members on the committee. There isn't a set amount of membership, but there are 4 members. Yeah, 4 members. Sorry, just counting. And Mr. Howells has met with Joe Chamberlain from the committee, and the committee is interested to have him join the committee, and he has experience in the fiber broadband world.
I'll make a motion to appoint Ryan Howells to the Municipal Broadband Committee.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And I understand, Mr. Milano, that our Traffic Commission appointment has hit a bit of a bylaw snafu, which is that we need to have a member of a bike committee, which is currently not very active in that it is totally inactive, to fill this seat, so that we can't appoint someone unless they're a member of the bike committee. Would you like to walk us through this?
Yes, so it's a bylaw requirement that there are 3 resident seats on this commission. It's unusual in that this commission is set up through the bylaw rather than another method, but the bylaw says that there are 3 resident members, one of whom shall be a member of the Bicycle Advisory Committee. The other 2 members on this commission are Marion Driscoll and Steve Geister, neither of whom are members of the Bicycle Advisory Committee. I spoke briefly, Town Council Darren Klein was in Town Hall today for office hours, so I just grabbed him on this, and he said, technically, since it's a bylaw, she wouldn't, any appointee wouldn't be an eligible voting member unless they were also a member of the Bicycle Advisory Committee. So while we can work on the long term to maybe revise that Traffic Commission bylaw at the annual town meeting, we could look at reconstituting the Bicycle Advisory Committee. We could look at appointing somebody to both seats as a solution. But I will note that committee is, some of the members have moved out of town. And while they're still vocal on issues in Milton,
Like the Bicycle Advisory Committee meeting you're talking about?
Yeah, they haven't met since I've been in Milton in 3 years, and have been, we've been trying to get in touch with them through various methods, and they're just not an active group at the moment. Not to say that there aren't folks interested in maybe revitalizing it at the moment, but it is a bylaw requirement that this 3rd seat's supposed to be a member of both.
So given that, it seems to me that we can't appoint Ms. White Orlando at the moment.
I think we could, but she'd just be a non-voting member until we change the bylaw.
That's
Yeah.
true. We could do that. And then
Gotta get Judy a bike. Just kidding.
How do you know she
we
doesn't
could
know
I
appoint
why
her
hope she's
if-
watching
if she
right
wants.
now.
I'm sure she is.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Mr. Wells.
So having been here when this was created, and the fact that the Bike Advisory Committee, previously chaired by Mr. Toma for so long, now moved from time, but still actively involved, as Ms. Haggerty knows well, much of what is done in bike regulation, outlaying, is now comes from it's directed from the state level.
Yeah.
It's at a much higher level than even having a local bike advisory committee. Judy White Orlando was the first person, going back to when I was chief and chair, who advocated was to make this bylaw change to add 2 citizens to the committee. So I'm going to make a motion to appoint her, and then, even though she'll be non-voting, definitely she can't vote, huh?
It would be a non-voting member, but I think having a seat at the table and being
I
involved
think
in the
it's the more
conversation is
important
just as
thing.
more
I think
important.
it's the more important thing. So I'm going to make a motion to appoint her to the bike commission, not the bike.
The bike committee, or
Yeah,
no,
we do
the
both.
traffic commission.
The traffic commission, to fill that vacancy, and then let's talk with town council about revisiting that bylaw to maybe adjust.
So the motion's been made to appoint Judy White Orlando to the Traffic Commission.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Driscoll. Any further discussion? I think from my end, I agree with Mr. Wells. I think maybe having a bylaw change in the warrant for the Maytown meeting would make sense for the Traffic Commission, given that so much of what happens with bicycles is now done by the state. Any further discussion? Okay, Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Ms. Haggerty,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
and myself,
And
yes.
just to follow up to Ms. White Orlando, so I know it's non-voting, having sat as a liaison to the Fire Station Building Committee as a non-voting member for much of not really much to do now because everything's underway, but you still get your point across and you have a lot to say, so when need be.
I'm glad she's going to have a seat at the table.
I'm sure she'll have a lot to
We'll
say.
see how she is
She
after
has
3
a
or
lot
4
to say
meetings.
to me, so.
Now you can have a lot to say to her.
There you go. So moving along, we have the discussion approve a lease with the United Congregational Church for the Wildcat Den. Mr. Milano. Is there anything to do here other than to approve the lease agreement?
No, this is a modest lease that we pay for the space managed through the Parks Department for the Wildcat Den. The main change to the lease was updating dates, adjusting the rent, and then revising the name to reflect the new name of the United Congregational Church.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? I'll take a motion.
Where's my pen?
I'll make a motion to, hang on, I want to make sure I do the motion correctly. Move to approve the lease agreement with the United Congregational Church for the Wildcat Den.
Thank you.
And Mr. Wells has seconded. Any further discussion? Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Ms. Haggerty,
Yes.
Mr. Wells from across the room is a yes, and myself also yes. That's a unanimous vote. Great. 14, discussion approval meeting minutes, November 18th, 2025. Ms. Haggerty?
I'd like to move to approve the meeting minutes dated November 18th, 2025.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Haggerty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. We are on to the town administrator's report. Mr. Milano, what has changed in town over the last week?
Not a lot.
Ball.
I'll let you speak to the event on Sunday at East Milton, but the Fire Station Building Committee is continuing its work, is meeting again on December 21st to keep up the discussion on the future of the Atherton Street project. Hopefully, we'll get some clear line of sight as to what their recommendation will be, and we'll have to coordinate a meeting with them in the new year, as well as they start to prepare for bringing a warrant article to the annual town meeting to address Atherton Station. MBTA is having a virtual public information meeting regarding the Mattapan line tomorrow night. The information on that has been posted to our website. It's also on the MBTA website. It's a virtual meeting. You do have to pre-register to get the Zoom link, but we are expecting updates on the Mattapan line. Whether I'm reading too much into things or not, but the program used to be called the Mattapan Line Transformation Project, and now it's just called the Mattapan Line Program. So the word transformation is missing, so we will find out what, if anything, that means, or if I'm being too much of a close reader at the time.
Is
Anyway,
it safe to
that's-
assume, Mr. Milano, that we have not heard back from MBTA on
This was the answer that we assumed, I
Okay.
think,
Yeah,
was
I-
what they were
I
alluding
figured
to.
as much.
So again, that's tomorrow night at, I believe it's at 6 p.m. And that wraps my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Milano. For myself, just a brief note of thanks to Rabbi Benjamin and all of those who attended the lighting of the town menorah or Hanukkah for the first night of Hanukkah at Manning Park on Sunday. It was snowy and cold. We had some of our select board members were out there, so that was greatly appreciated. The rabbi's remarks were deeply appreciated in the wake of what happened at Bondi Beach and continues to happen around the world, unfortunately, the anti-Semitism. So that was great. And I also just want to congratulate the school committee on the reappointment of John Phelan as superintendent for another year as temporary, so to try to get the ship righted as much as possible. So thank you to them and to Mr. Phelan for their service. And that's pretty much
Can
all.
I just add one
Mr.
other thing?
Milano, yes.
I just want to acknowledge we've had a little bit of a busy couple of days in East Milton Square, so I just wanted to thank the neighborhood for accommodating some of the filming that was taking place at Stella's. That took place all day on Monday. Parking spaces were occupied. There were trucks all over the place. There is a project, a concrete pour tomorrow at the 40B project that will take place starting early around 5 a.m. and that'll take place into the evening. So it's been a busy couple of days, so we appreciate, we understand the impact that it has, and we appreciate everybody with working with us. And obviously any comments or suggestions, feel free to reach out to our office.
Great. And Mr. Daly, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Nick, was on the email you sent to us earlier, was there any update on those dogs that were found?
No, only that they were in the care of the animal control officer, and from there finding homes, and the police are handling the rest of the issues there.
Thanks.
Mr. Driscoll.
Nick, how'd the merchants take no parking there?
I'm sorry?
How did the rest of the merchants take no parking there?
I had reached out just to communicate with them the impacts. Obviously got a little bit of concern raised, and when we initially reached out, the impacts were greater. We worked with the location crew to move some of that out of the square itself. They had looked for essentially 72 hours of occupying spaces on Adams, Mechanic, and Church, and they got that down to much less impact on Sunday and Tuesday, although more significant impacts on Monday itself was when they were filming. And then in terms of people, they had people being shuttled in from, I think they ended up using the Legion as a satellite lot. So, the location, that's what they're about, is knocking on doors and finding alternative locations. So when we had said, look, this is too much, you got to find some answers, they went out and did that to mitigate some of it. But nice opportunity for an East Milton business to be featured. And
Why don't you tell everybody what they were filming? What it
a
was?
scene from Dead City, so it's a Walking
Dead,
I
the sequel.
don't know anything about it. So.
There's zombies in Stella's?
sorry.
Or?
Yes.
They had the windows changed. I went down and walked down and the windows were changed. I couldn't really see what they did inside. Sorry, Jim.
But Eversource was there last week too for a few days.
Yeah, that
Right
would have
outside-
been.
No, I know,
approved
but
on
they
a
were,
day-by-day
they put up with
basis.
a lot in
Yeah.
that area.
No, they do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they were there for 3 or 4 days.
I see National Grid had a big presence on Bassett today. I don't know what they were. There are a lot
That
of
might have
trucks
just
there.
been
Not,
time
not,
for
not big
utility,
trucks like Boss's trucks, like small stuff.
They've been putting up with a lot.
No, for sure, and that's hopefully it'll be quieter for the next several months.
All right. Well, we got our zombie apocalypse news. Our future meeting schedule and locations, we're slated for a return to our regularly scheduled second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, starting in January on the 13th and then January the 27th. Future agenda items, I think in this one we talked about maybe the bylaw, bringing a draft bylaw, which we probably wouldn't need for the 13th, but maybe it actually might be helpful considering we might want to have the warrant closed.
That's we're trying to have at least drafts of all the warrant articles for the 13th. That's our
So
working
maybe
goal.
we could have a draft for that change to the Traffic Commission bylaw. Other agenda items that anyone would like to propose? Okay. So I am going pursuant to MGL C30A, Section 28.3. I'm going to move to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. Milton Clerical Unit of the Southeastern Public Employees Association, Milton Professional Management Association, Milton Public Employees Association, Milton Firefighters Local 1116, Milton Police Officers, Milton Superior Officers, Milton Library Association. Based on my belief that discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the Select Board, the Select Board will not return to open session.
Second. So
Motion.
you want to keep going? You want,
Well, these are separate motions,
Okay,
so we
all
should vote on them separately. Motion's been made and seconded. This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. I'm going to move that we enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation in the matter of Jake Tamposi, Comprehensive Land Holdings LLC, OADR, docket number WET 2024-003-034, based on my belief that discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the Select Board. The Select Board will not return to open session.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded. This is, again, a roll call vote. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Then finally, I will move to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation in the matter of the Town of Milton OADR docket number WET 2025-004 Lower Guile, based on my belief that discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the Select Board. The Select Board will not return to open session.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wells. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are adjourned.
Great holiday.
Yeah.
Happy
Everybody have a nice holiday.
Hanukkah, happy
Merry
Christmas, happy everything.
Happy New Year.